How Eamon Met Kaidan, Chapter 15. In the Back of a Hay Cart. Loredas, 25th of Evening Star, in the 201st year of the 4th era. Eamon. Eamon loved very little in this life more than he loved foraging for herbs and mushrooms. There was nothing like being in the forest, walking through familiar trees, near a familiar stream, and listening to the sounds of nature while doing a pleasant task. He considered himself one of the luckiest men on Nirn that life had allowed him a profession that paid him for doing all of the things he enjoyed most. True, no one actually paid him for picking thistles or distilling oils, but they did pay him for the remedies he made from those things. The weather was incredibly fine today, and the wildlife was taking advantage. He heard the scampering and chirping of birds and squirrels all around him, and the warm breeze made the green leaves rustle as they danced and waved on their branches overhead. He couldn't think of another moment when he'd felt more at peace. "Eamon, dearest, I think you missed these. They look like fine specimens to me." He turned and smiled.
"I've been saying your eyesight is better than mine since you finally agreed to wear spectacles, Tandil, and here is the proof of it."
She reached up to fidget with the fine steel frames, still self-conscious after almost a month of wearing them daily. He set down his basket and brushed the locks of her thick black hair, now shot through with strands of silver and white, away from her eyes, and caressed her cheek with his fingertips.
"Stop fretting over them, Aoife. You are still." And here he bent down to kiss the side of her neck just behind her ear. "As lovely as ever you were." "Harvest your mushrooms, husband," she said with mock impatience. Instead, he dropped his cutting knife into the basket and lifted his wife from her feet in a tight embrace. You don't believe me, do you? I think the spectacles are quite fetching. Truly, they make me think all sorts of wicked thoughts. Would you like me to demonstrate a few of them for you?"
She giggled and slapped playfully at his shoulder.
"Oh, Eamon, do be serious. I need to tell you something."
He set her back down on the ground and said,
"Well, that doesn't sound like nearly as much fun. Is it a happy something you need to tell me, or should we sit down first?"
She frowned a little and said,
"I'm afraid you won't like it very much, but you know what my motto is where these things are concerned."
Eamon grinned.
"Oh yes, of course. A problem is only a problem if you don't discuss it before it becomes one."
But Aoife did not smile at this. She said, "Come over here and sit with me. I'm afraid we don't have much time." She spread her shawl over the fallen log where she'd pointed out the mushrooms and sat primly on one side of it, patting the other side in invitation. He sat, and she took his hand. He watched her lovely fingers intertwine with his, and he smiled at his mother's ring glinting on her second finger.
"What is it, Tandil? What is this about?"
"You are very ill, my love," she said. Eamon laughed at this.
"If finding my bespectacled wife quite thoroughly appealing makes me a sick man, darling, I will be happy to leave the ailment utterly unmedicated."
He pulled her into his lap and kissed her slowly, with meticulous dedication to the work. She relaxed into him as she always did, fitting perfectly in his arms and under his hands as she always had. And again he considered that he couldn't remember ever feeling this good or this completely at ease. When he pulled his face back to look down at her, she sighed and laid her head on his shoulder.
"You must listen to me now, Eamon. You've done a terribly foolish thing." "What did I do, Aoife? Are you angry with me?"
"No, I'm not angry. I know why you did it, and I'm quite proud of you for it. The Thalmor are evil, and you were right to punish them. I love your valiant heart, you know."
They hurt my Ruma. I had to do it. I know, but you went too far, and now you have to repair things before it's too late. I love her, you know. I love her so very much, my darling. Can you forgive me for it? I tried not to, but she made everything colorful again. I would not have you believe that I've forgotten you. I never could. I never will. Oh, don't be ridiculous, Eamon. We always knew that I would die a very long time before you did. You made me very happy, husband, and I am where I'm supposed to be. I know how much you love her, and that is why I've come to help you. So you like her then, my Amelia? Do you approve of her? I do. I could wish she exercised better judgment than she has been lately, but the two of you share that failing in common. You should listen to Feralda more often. Pity you never fell in love with her. She would have been very good for you, I think. Eamon shuddered at the thought. Oh, no, Aoife. If I had married Fada, I would never have known you, and you were the very best part of my life. Amelia could change your mind about that, if you would allow the poor woman a glimmer of hope. She's been waiting for you, and fate is being patient, but neither of them will wait forever. She is vibrant in all the places where you are dull, and she handles your moods far better than I ever did. You handled my moods brilliantly, Aoife. I did no such thing. You only remember what you like remembering, and think you can just toss away the bits you'd rather forget, Eamon Greywatch. I'm not ready to let you go again. I miss you. I know, but we don't have time to dwell on that. I came to help you pull the threads, Eamon. We'll do it together. You are an Altmer. It's in your blood. Collect them, my darling. They are all around us, and you need as many as you can gather. Eamon tightened his grip on the woman he'd loved for 28 years and opened his mind, reaching for the threads of creation that all of life and all of magic are made from. That's it. Let the blood of your ancestors do its work. Call upon them, Eamon, you must. I don't know their names. It's all right, my love. I do. They sent me to help you. They did? They know me? Of course they do, Eamon. And one day you will know them, too. She began to whisper their names to him, and he repeated them one by one. With each name he spoke, the threads became more numerous and distinct. He reached for each one, pulling faster and faster, and they flowed into him in that familiar way, connecting him to the ether and strengthening his spark. When Aoife finally fell silent, and there were no more names speaking out to his blood, he realized that he didn't have to reach for the threads anymore. They were all around him, and he could touch them now without even trying. Keep pulling them, dearest. You need more. He continued pulling the threads, and then Aoife sat up, gently releasing herself from his arms. It's time. You have to let me go now. Are you well, Aoife? I need to know that you are well, Eamon said. She smiled at him and nodded, saying, I am home. Now, if you don't wake up and drink some water, Master Eamon, Mr. Volgin says I must dump the whole bucket on your face. What? Eamon asked. Aoife? Hey, he's finally awake. Eamon recognized that voice. The kitchen boy. The world felt as though it was tilting back and forth, and Feodir was shouting so loudly Eamon could feel it in his teeth. He just said a word I'm not allowed to repeat when there are grown-ups around, Mr. Volgin, but he's waking up. Eamon felt his whole body jerk, and then slide backward until the top of his head hit something hard.
He'd been moving, and then he had stopped moving, and it hurt. Why did everything have to hurt? There were footsteps and voices, and his memory of the previous night came flooding back in a pounding wave of awareness. Really, it was all just too much. "Aoife," he called out.
"No, cousin. I'm afraid we're all you've got at the moment. And while none of us are quite as pretty as she was, I'm told I used to be quite a looker in my own way."
Eamon groaned and tried to remember what Vulgan was talking about, but everything was a jumble, and his entire body ached like he'd been run over by a cart instead of riding in one.
"Open your eyes, cousin. Fjodir's gone to refill the skins with clear water out of the river. He says we need to get you to sit up and drink."
Eamon bristled in his discomfort.
"So you're taking medical advice from 10-year-old boys now?" "Yes," Vulgan said. "You've had 2 more fits in the last 6 hours, and Fjodir is the only one amongst us who knows what to do about them. He says you need to be awake and watered, so that's what we're going to do."
Eamon had to admit that the boy was giving sound advice, and he made no further objection.
"Go on, open those eyes, cousin, or I'll be forced to douse you with this bucket of dirty rainwater. It's up to you, really."
Eamon tried to lift his hands, and discovered to his relief that he could. He rubbed at his eyes and blinked. He found himself looking up at a gray sky that was threatening rain, flat on his back, in a small hay cart.
"Where are we, and why is Fjodir with us? I made a promise to take him back to his mother."
Vulgan made a disapproving grunt and said,
Well, which one of those do you want an answer to first, Master Greywatch?"
Without waiting for Eamon's response, he answered both questions in the order they were asked.
"We've just crossed into Eastmarch, and we've been riding along the Darkwater River instead of using the roads. You said this place we're looking for was on the river, so we are following a river. The boy's mother said that she wants Fjodir away from that place. You can't blame her. And so as soon as she finished kissing the child, she said they were packing up to move in with her brother in Darkwater Crossing. We were headed that way anyhow, and the boy wanted to stay with you until he could be sure you weren't going to die."
"That boy has been through enough. He isn't safe with us out here."
"I am the father of 5 children. Do you really think I would endanger a child? We're 2 Nords who happen to be farmers pulling a farm cart down the road with a boy and a sleeping elf who's dressed like a farmhand in tow. We are miles away from the danger you're so afraid of, where you left no witnesses and we took every scrap of evidence that could mention your name or his. Fjodir's mother gave her permission for us to carry her child to his uncle's house in Darkwater Crossing, and that is precisely what we're doing. That boy is attached to you, Eamon. He was distraught until we said he could stay with you. You leave him be."
"Forgive me again. I'm sorry, and I am still not myself." Vulgan humphed, but then ruffled Eamon's hair with affection.
"I'm as happy to see you wake up as the boy is, cousin. It's been a difficult morning for all of us."
"I truly am sorry about that, but I think I'm past the worst of it. Help me sit up, will you?" Fjodir was apparently back from fetching water now, because he jumped up onto the cart and said,
"I can help him, Mr. Gunn. I expect you need to go water the horse, so I'll stay here and water Master Eamon."
Eamon took the boy's offered hands and hauled himself upright as the boy tugged. Eamon's head immediately began swimming, and he leaned over the side of the narrow cart to breathe deeply through his nose and try not to heave.
"You got the dizzies, huh?"
"The dizzies? What a fine word, Fjodir. Yes, I believe I do." The boy began busying himself moving items around in the cart.
"What are you doing?"
Eamon asked.
"Well, now that you're awake, you need something to lean on. You can prop yourself up against the back and rest your head on this big sack of papers and clothes we took from the fort."
"I appreciate you trying to make me more comfortable. That is very kind of you." Fjodir pointed at the pile of water skins he'd just filled and said,
"Drink some of that, Master Eamon. You'll feel better."
Eamon obeyed him and took a long drink. It did feel very good. He pulled another drink before adjusting himself against the support of the cart's frame and the letter bag, as Fjodor had suggested. He leaned his head back onto the burlap sack, which was scratchy, but it conformed to his neck in a supportive and comfortable way. The nausea had passed, and he was feeling much better. Weak, but better.
Where is Mitty?
He's walking ahead to scout for trouble,
said Fjodor.
He can move faster on foot than we can in this cart.
Volgan returned from the riverbank.
I swear this horse pissed more'n he drank, but he seems a cheerful enough beast. Give him an apple, Fjodor, and then hitch him back up to the cart. I'm going to go follow the horse's example, and then we'll get back on our way. Eamon, do you need any assistance in that area?
Eamon considered his bladder and declined.
Is it safe if we let him go back to sleep now, Fjodor? He looks like he needs it.
For the love of Stendar, Gen, I am a healer, and I'm sitting right here.
Yeah, it's fine, Mr. Gen. He just needs to sit up for a bit so he doesn't throw up an appetite.
Aspirate, Eamon corrected.
Yeah, that,
Fjodor said. Oh, gods take me, Eamon whispered. And then he closed his eyes and fell into a real, deep, and restorative sleep.